What is going on, world? What's up, YouTube? It's Zero here. Today I'm bringing you guys a brand new episode of the 8 Below Show. Welcome everyone to 8 Below. Thanks for being here, guys, to the best gaming related show here on YouTube. And I'm super excited about our episode here today. We have a lot of stuff to talk about, so let's get into it. I've talked on the YouTube channel about Bioshock in the past, and I wanted to talk about the future of Bioshock and if we could see a continuation of this franchise at some point or another in the foreseeable future, because this is a franchise, guys. I think that we can all agree that if you're a big Bioshock fan, this is a franchise that we haven't seen in quite some time, simply because the collection that came out in 2016, sure, that might have quenched your thirst for a little bit, but it's been a little while. It's 2020 now, and we want to hear word about a Bioshock 4. So let's talk about it. As far as the release timeline is concerned, guys, you've got Bioshock that came out in 2007, and then, of course, guys, Bioshock 2 came out a few years after that in 2010. You, of course, had in between here, you had some expansions and things of that nature. But of course, the main games that came out were Bioshock, Bioshock 2, and then Bioshock Infinite, which came out in 2013. And then a number of years passed after that, which would have been 3 years. And then we had Bioshock the Collection. And so, of course, guys, out of this, with this trilogy that came out, even though it wasn't really said to be a trilogy, 3 games came out. And now we've been waiting since 2013 for the release of the 4th game. And so I think that there's a lot of question marks here. What happened to Bioshock Infinite? Where is it going? Because I think a lot of us can agree that the first 3 Bioshock games were pretty awesome. I actually thought that they continued going up as far as an incline. I don't really think any one of those 3 games were terrible to the point where we saw a decline in, player base and things of that nature. I think that with each installment, it actually got better and better. Now, maybe some people say that, of course, being in the water was better than being in the sky, but then other people will say that they liked being up in the clouds more than in the water, and so on and so forth, guys. There's a lot of, debate there, but I think that we can agree that Bioshock is an extremely creative title in gaming, and we've been waiting for a long time for the continuation of these games, guys. Now, in February of 2014, while promoting Burial at Sea Episode 2, series director Ken Levine revealed that Bioshock Infinite would be Irrational Games' last game in the Bioshock series. Levine let go of most of the staff of Irrational Games in February 2017 and rebranded the division as Ghost Story Games within 2K Games to work on smaller narrative titles. The rights to Bioshock remained with 2K. In a 2016 interview, Levine explained that the pressure and stress of managing a large team as he had to go for Infinite had impacted his health and personal relationships, and rather than stay on to build a larger game, decided to leave the Bioshock franchise. Following Levine's decision, 2K Games stated that the Bioshock series will continue, telling Game Informer they look forward to exploring the next Bioshock. In May 2014, 2K Games stated that work on the Bioshock series was continuing with 2K Marin at the helm, despite the fact that in October 2013, 2K Marin had reportedly shut down by 2K Games. 2K formally announced on December 2019 that a new Bioshock title was under development but was still some years from release. The game is being developed by a new internal studio, Cloud Chamber, with offices based in San Francisco, 2K Marin's old offices, and a newly established location in Montreal. The studio is led by Kelly Gilmore, who had previously worked at Firaxis. The lead staff include lead art director Scott Sinclair, who had worked on the first Bioshock, Jonathan Pelling as design director, having previously done level work for Bioshock and Infinite, and Hoagie De La Plante as creative director after having worked on the other Bioshock games in numerous roles. Now look, guys, one thing I'm going to say about this is Ken Levine, it's really unfortunate that this kind of affected him in a way when he was working on Bioshock and having like a big team and such. It affected him so much in a way in which, it was affecting his health, his personal relationships when he was working on Infinite, which is really unfortunate, guys. I mean, it was such a good story, in my opinion. I thought that Infinite was the best from a narrative perspective of all 3 of the Bioshock games. And I thought that Levine, I feel that Bioshock may never be the same with him gone, in Irrational Games not working on the new title. Now, it is it's nice to hear that Jonathan Pelling and other, people who have been involved with Bioshock in the past are going to be helming this franchise moving forward. It's just, there's question marks there with Levine not helming this, because it's kind of like if you had, of course, like with the Gears of War community, Rod Ferguson, he decided to leave after, Gears 5 came out, and he's now moving on to the Diablo franchise over at Blizzard. And so now there's question marks there. I wonder, what does the future look like now with Gears of War, with Rod Ferguson not being the guy there anymore? And there's a lot of question marks. The same can be said with this particular franchise, in my opinion. But I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on that in the comment section below. It was reported that work on this title had started as early as 2015 at the Austin-based third-party studio Certain Affinity. However, by 2016, 2K decided to pull the project from Certain Affinity and bring it in-house, establishing a yet-to-be-named studio, as well as rebooting the development process. Previously, Kotaku had reported in 2018 that several employees from Hangar 13, another development studio within 2K Games, had joined a new studio in the San Francisco area and were working on a project known under the working title Parkside, believed by other Hangar 13 employees to be a Bioshock title. So a lot of rumors, lots of talks going on here, and rumors happening around this, title that's going to be coming out. Hangar 13, guys, I think is working on a Mafia 4. Maybe they are working on a secret Bioshock project. It's hard to say, but I just don't know, guys, if that is what they are working on, because I've heard other rumors that they're actually working on another Mafia game. But all in all, guys, this is interesting to say the least. I think obviously we could all agree that we want to see another Bioshock game. I think that there's question marks as to how good it's going to be because, of the main guys not really being there. Some are there, but then there's others that have moved on to other projects and such. But in a article, guys, that was written by Lauren Morton of PC Gamer, after a year or so of rumors, 2K has finally come out to acknowledge that Bioshock 4 is in development. It's been 6 years since the last Bioshock game, double the time between each of the other 3 games in the series. After at least one internal cancellation and reboot, Bioshock 4 is properly on its way now. We don't know many concrete details about the next Bioshock game just yet. It was only in December 2019 that 2K announced the name of the studio working on the game. The press release didn't give any details on the game itself, so we're mostly down to speculation and waiting. So when do we think this release date's going to happen, guys? Well, unfortunately, it's way too early to be talking release dates. The formation of the new 2K studio developing Bioshock 4 was just announced, and although we can hope it's entered full production already, we don't actually know what stage the game is in. So here's what I'm going to say, guys. In my opinion, I'd love to hear your guys'. As far as Bioshock 4 is concerned, I think we're probably going to see an official announcement, whether it's called Bioshock 4, if it's called something else, next year, 2021. And then we're probably not going to see the game for a year or two after that. So that's probably what you're looking at, is probably released in 2022 or 2023. Now, although rumors about the next Bioshock game had been circling for about a year prior, we finally got confirmation of its existence when publisher 2K announced the formation of the new studio, Cloud Chamber. Now, guys, I had thought that Cloud Chamber were actually the people that were working on GTFO, but those are actually, I believe they're called 10 Chamber or something. So it's a totally different company altogether. I thought that was going to be kind of interesting if GTFO, those developers were working on this, but that's not the case. So brand new company, guys. 2K describes the new studio, led by Kelly Gilmore, as a collective of storytellers eager to push the front lines of interactive entertainment by making unique, entertaining, and thoughtful experiences that engage the world. One thing we definitely know is that Ken Levine, creative director from Bioshock 1 and Infinite, won't be involved. Levine shut down Irrational Games after wrapping up Bioshock Infinite and has since launched new, smaller studio Ghost Story Games, also under 2K, to work on an unannounced project. So, will Bioshock 4 still be a shooter? Definitely. When announcing that Bioshock 4 is in the works, 2K said it can't wait to see where the new studio, Cloud Chamber, takes its powerful narrative and iconic first-person shooter gameplay in the future. So guys, I mean, look, we got to, of course, you got to give it a chance. We got to see, what Cloud Chamber can come up with here for the Bioshock franchise. You have some guys who have worked on the other Bioshock games that are going to be there helping and helming this as well. So I think that even if it's not as good of a narrative as maybe the other games, at least we're getting more Bioshock games. As long as they don't completely ruin the franchise or something, I just want to see a continuation of this franchise. I would like to, of course, see a story here, but I'd also like to see other game modes and other ways that we can connect with the franchise, which is what I basically say with every single game that is going to be coming out or has been rumored, is wanting like full packages, and I think Bioshock's a game that I would love to see that as well. According to Kotaku report, this isn't the first iteration of Bioshock 4. Apparently, it was originally in development at Certain Affinity under the codename Parkside in 2015. That version of Bioshock 4 was canceled sometime in 2016. The current version of Bioshock 4 has been in development, Kotaku says, since 2017. So it's been going on since 2017. Guess what that tells me, guys? That tells me that they're probably pretty far along on this game, but I'm sure they're probably taking their time. They don't want to rush this thing because if they do, there might be real problems. So I think that without a doubt, guys, they just need to kind of take it slow, take it easy. Hopefully Ken Levine had some other ideas for continuations of the Bioshock franchise that they can kind of go to and have, and they're like notes as they're moving through this process. Bioshock Infinite's final DLC, Burial at Sea, wrapped up some loose ends, which makes it a bit hard to speculate on what the next game will be like. It seems unlikely that Bioshock 4 will be a direct sequel to Infinite. We'd speculate that Bioshock 4 might distance itself from Infinite a bit by exploring new characters and new locations. Given the Infinite lighthouses leading to alternate worlds in Infinite Sea of Doors, perhaps we'll end up visiting another reality entirely. Oh, and Cloud Chamber's website has a lighthouse centered pretty prominently near the top of the page, which reads like a clue to us. There's always a lighthouse, etc. So what I would say, guys, is that yes, I would like this to kind of one of those things where obviously in Bioshock it's really cool because everything kind of intertwines in one way or another, and I think with the lighthouses this would be really an interesting concept, going to other worlds and such. What would be kind of cool is if it maybe starts right where Infinite left off, but what would be cool is that during the course of the story, you're going in multiple lighthouses, you're going into different worlds, kind of like Interstellar almost, where you're going on multiple different planets, you're exploring, gathering resources, whatever it might be, and the story kind of takes you from there. And there's an immense amount of opportunity here to really have a lot of variety within this next title, so I'm hoping that they kind of go in that direction. Now, occasionally there are juicy details to be gleaned from a company's public job postings. Now that its existence has been revealed, Cloud Chamber is hiring up at its San Francisco and Montreal locations, and there are quite a few positions available. They seem to be all pretty standard job postings, so it doesn't seem there's much to be learned here just yet. Cloud Chamber is looking for producers, engineers, level designers, environment artists, combat designers, and a bunch of other jobs that you'd commonly see for any large game. What we can tell is that Cloud Chamber is definitely staffing up. If Bioshock 4 isn't already churning in full production mode, it certainly will be sooner rather than later. Back when the project codenamed Parkside was in the hands of Certain Affinity, a Kotaku report quoted someone involved as saying, "The issue is that Parkside's not ready for lots of people." So that's kind of interesting to say the least. But when do we think we'll hear more, guys? So given how tight-lipped 2K and Cloud Chamber have been so far, it could be a while before we hear more about the next Bioshock. As with most big-budget games, it seems most likely that we'll get new details or a trailer for Bioshock 4 at one of the game industry events in 2020, which is certainly possible, guys, but because of with the pandemic going on now, it's hard to say if we're going to see it this year or if they'll just kind of postpone it to early at some point next year. But overall, guys, what I can say is this: if you're a big-time fan of Bioshock, which I love the Bioshock games, I've liked them the further I've gone into the franchise. So after, playing the first one I thought was okay, second one I'm like, this is getting pretty good, and then the third one I was like, wow, this is a really cool narrative, really cool story. I want to see more. And ever since then, I've been hungry to see more content and stuff around this franchise and just really dive in. I'd love to see, some multiplayer mode. modes. I'd love to see some co-op modes, more ways that we can connect with the franchise. Of course, DLC, can come afterwards, but I'd love to just kind of really have a lot of doors opened in this franchise and just showing us just how big this world really is. And that's something that I think could be really special in this game. But I do think that, Cloud Chamber should really keep it grounded, keep it very much so a story that is, very Bioshock, right? We don't want to be going kind of like off the deep end or something, or try something too big, too fast. Kind of, if you need to start slow, and then kind of pick up those gears as you go throughout the course of time here. But I would love to hear from you guys. What do you guys think about the next Bioshock title, Bioshock 4? Let me know in the comment section below. And for more Bioshock 4 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. I've said this on a number of occasions that No Man's Sky, guys, is one of the greatest comeback stories in the history of gaming, potentially the greatest ever when we talk about comebacks. A company, or I should say a game, and a developer, publisher that in Hello Games that did not give up on this title and consistently was trying to make it better, never gave up on it. And now we see a game that is pretty special, guys, and an incredible, comeback, and all the credit and kudos to those guys over at Hello Games for all the, immense work and just belief that this was a special game. And so with that, guys, I want to talk about the possibility of a sequel to Dead Man's Sky, because obviously, guys, you could spend so much time playing this game, right? I mean, just so many different planets and just so much that you could potentially do in No Man's Sky. The question is this a game that they're just going to consistently keep updating and just, people, as time goes, more and more people will, jump on board and join the community and such? Or are they planning on making a sequel? Let's talk about it. Guys, this is a game, No Man's Sky is a game that was released back in August of 2016. Now, it came on Xbox One in July of 2018, but it's a game that came out in 2016, guys. Now, when we talk about the future of this game and what it really all could entail, Murray offered the potential to extend the game through downloadable content that, because of the procedural generation systems used, would likely be in the form of added features rather than new content. Hello Games pointed to base building and the ability to purchase freighters as planned additions to the game. Murray anticipated that all updates would be freely available. Former Sony executive Shahid Ahmad, who led Sony's efforts to get No Man's Sky, stated that Hello Games had a planned schedule of updates for the game as early as 2013. The game's first major content patch, called the Foundation Update, was released in November of 2016 and added the ability for planet-side base building, interstellar freighter purchases with similar base building customization, as well as an open creative mode. It also includes a survival mode, which reduces the availability of resources and makes encounters with hostiles more difficult, and makes various other improvements. So, Murray did suggest the possibility of releasing modding tools for Windows players to alter the game, though noted that they would be limited and would not allow players to create new planets in the game, for example. About a week after the Windows release, players had already started to examine the game's files and create unofficial mods, with at least one mod sharing website offering these for distribution. Hello Games have since provided patches that help to support these user mods, and then Murray stated in an interview with IGN prior to release that virtual reality would be a really good fit for No Man's Sky, as the immersive experience could create really intense moments within the game. Virtual reality support was subsequently announced as part of the free Beyond update in mid-2019. Murray also commented on the potential for a remastering of No Man's Sky for a system with more hardware capabilities, suggesting that they would be able to both increase the texture resolution and the degree of complexity of the flora and fauna on the planets. So, here's the thing, guys. There's really no talks of a No Man's Sky 2. They're just basically stating, we're just going to keep, updating No Man's Sky, which I think is a really smart idea. I mean, look, guys, they're saying that this, thousands upon thousands of hours could be had here in No Man's Sky on all the different planets and just everything that this game entails. You could spend so much time playing this game. So I think what Hello Games is doing is, look, they put so much time and resource into making No Man's Sky good, they probably have no real thoughts in the back of their head that a No Man's Sky 2 is really coming up here in the foreseeable future. But will we ever see a No Man's Sky 2 is another question altogether, right? I believe that we will see a No Man's Sky 2 at some point or another, but I think it's probably pretty far down the road. Probably another, few years at least before they would even think about doing that. In an article, guys, that was written by Keza McDonald of The Guardian, Shaun Murray does not like talking to the press. He says this several times when we meet at the Guildford offices of Hello Games, the development studio he founded in 2008 with Grant Duncan, Ryan Doyle, and David Ream. He is loquacious but nervous. No one at the studio has spoken to any journalist for nearly 2 years since the release of Murray's pet project, No Man's Sky, an extraordinarily ambitious space exploration game that aimed to put an infinite universe on a game's console, a game that, when it didn't meet some players' high expectations, triggered an appalling internet harassment campaign that left the small studio and its staff reeling. It is hard to blame him for his hesitance. Talking to the press is partly what led to Murray's ordeal in the first place. As the visible creative lead of No Man's Sky, the person who talked up the science fiction game and its enormous ambitions in interviews before it was released. But you know what, guys? I think that really what this gets down to is that all of that pressure and all of that criticism of No Man's Sky, I think it actually fueled Shaun Murray and the team over at Hello Games to make it better, to prove everyone wrong. And guess what? They did exactly that. The press didn't attack Hello Games when No Man's Sky turned out to be a different game than the one players had expected. Most reviews noted its emptiness, but critics also praised its lonely mood. But unwittingly, the press gave the attackers ammunition. After a couple weeks, disappointed players moved on, and the angry ones were all that were left. The internet is really good at knowing when somebody has made a mistake, says Murray. It's not necessarily the best at determining the most appropriate response, but it's really good at knowing when somebody has messed something up. We definitely messed up a whole bunch of communication. I've never liked talking to the press. I didn't enjoy it when I had to do it, and when I did it, I was naive and overly excited about my game. There are a lot of things around launch that I regret or that I would do differently. So here's the thing, guys, is that if No Man's Sky 2 did come out, I think that they would approach it in a completely new and different way. That would be, of course, Hello Games. But throughout the course of this interview, there's not much talk about a second No Man's Sky or really any indication that they want to start moving forward on another No Man's Sky game. It sounds like they just want to really make this game as good as it possibly can be, and they're certainly going in that direction. Now, instead of giving up and disappearing off the map, Murray and the studio decided to double down on No Man's Sky, keep working on it, and concentrate on what the people who are actually playing it wanted rather than the people who are furious about it. We did something that I think I've always done when I look back in my life, says Murray. When I've dealt with shitty situations when I was a kid, moving between lots of schools, or when I've had shitty bosses later in life, I basically just get my head down and I work and I avoid. I just focus on making games, making cool creative things, and that's an outlet for me. I think the team just wanted to do that. So, multiplayer is one of the features fans have been waiting for. A very light multiplayer was envisioned for launch, and we fought right up until the end to add it, but it was immensely challenging, and we knew it was something that only a handful of people would experience due to the size of the universe, Murray explains. We later added a version of it for the Atlas Rises update, and it was nice, but not hugely impactful to people's enjoyment. What players really wanted was the kind of multiplayer we are adding now. And so, multiplayer, I mean, look, guys, I mean, for a single studio here to do all of this, it kind of tells me, guys, that there's hope for a lot of other developers out there that are working on, projects that are kind of like passion projects and such, that if they start getting some backlash on their game, as long as you just believe in the product and you do what your community wants you to do and like fix things that they want to be fixed and things of that nature, then there is hope that it could become a flourishing franchise. And I think a lot of other game developers out there are learning from what Hello Games went through with No Man's Sky and what they are reaping now, which is incredible. The benefits and the praises now for this franchise. No Man's Sky was what we wanted it to be when it launched, he maintains. We always talked about the feeling of landing on a planet that no one had been on before. It was lonely. It had nice, calm, ambient moments in it, but we always wanted to expand it. If you played the original game for 20 hours, you probably got the experience that we wanted, but you probably would have never picked up No Man's Sky again. No Man's Sky began life as some line of code on Murray's computer. He worked alone for a year on a tech demo that could procedurally generate planets and galaxies before 3 more people, Innes McKendrick, Grant Duncan, and David Ream, joined him to turn it into a game. Over the 5 years of its development from 2011 to 2016, the average team size was 6, less than a tenth of the number of people who usually work on a game of this scale. And that's incredible. I mean, that is incredible, guys, what they've been able to do. I mean, think about it. They haven't had nearly as big of a group of guys or a development team to make this game. And I mean, it's unbelievable what they've been able to accomplish. That's why I say that No Man's Sky is one of, if not the greatest comeback story in all of gaming ever. It's quite, it's quite incredible. Hello Games' mistake in 2016 wasn't making a bad game. It was failing to manage expectations when the hype started getting out of control. But in spending the last 2 years working to make it the best it can, the studio is doing right by the people who jumped aboard at the start and stuck with the game on its journey from underdog to one of the most anticipated games in the world to underdog again. It's an unprecedented development story, and it put the people working on it through immense strain. But that being said, guys, I gotta say that a No Man's Sky 2, I think everyone would love it at some point or another. But I think right now, guys, I think people really enjoy No Man's Sky and where it's at right now, and spending just hundreds and thousands of hours on it within this world, because you can explore so much. And I think letting them just continue, that being Hello Games, do what they need to do to make it even better experience. Sure, a No Man's Sky 2 would be awesome to see, like, kind of where the narrative goes and, like, the new planets that they can come up with and the updated graphics and things of that nature. But I don't think it's anywhere in the near future. I would say we'd probably see something maybe in the next 3 to 5 years, and then we probably wouldn't see anything, a couple years after that, or we'd release a couple years after that. So enjoy No Man's Sky for what it is, because Hello Games, guys, worked so hard on this franchise. You can just see the passion and the work that was put into this passion project of theirs, and it's something quite special now. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Would you want to see a No Man's Sky 2 at some point or another in the future? Let me know what you guys think, and for more No Man's Sky 2 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. I feel like if Ubisoft were to announce a Splinter Cell 7 tomorrow, the entire internet would erupt. And I think, guys, that this community has been yearning, and I'm part of that community because I love Splinter Cell, one of the most unique games out there, incredible narrative, and I think there's just so much more to explore with this franchise, and I want to see a continuation of it, but we haven't seen anything lately that is giving us any indication that this game may even be in existence. But more recently than not, guys, there's been some recent updates with the Splinter Cell franchise, and things could be heating up very soon, like as in 2020 soon. We could be getting a good amount of information this year regarding this game, and hopefully it comes out maybe after or shortly after the next gen consoles come out. So let's talk about it. In an article, guys, that was written by Anika Osario of International Business Times, over the past months, rumors about a new Splinter Cell game have been rife online. Ubisoft has not yet revealed anything associated with the new Splinter Cell. A new report, however, hints of a promising development that could very well point to the development of a new Splinter Cell title. Over the years, fans of the popular award-winning stealth video title Splinter Cell have been requesting a new title. The last Splinter Cell game was introduced in PlayStation 3 as Blacklist. Apart from the cameo appearance of the game's protagonist Sam Fisher in Ghost Recon Wildlands, he has been missing in action in the current generation PlayStation gaming console. Lately, however, Ubisoft shared that Maxim Beland has come back. He is the creative director of the last couple of Splinter Cell titles. He left in 2019 for Fortnite and Epic Games, but now has returned a few months after his departure. Beland's return to Ubisoft renews hope on the development of a new Splinter Cell game. The creative director is now a part of Ubisoft's new editorial team, which saw some huge changes as of late. According to VGC, Beland is now the vice president of the studio's editorial team. It can be recalled that Ubisoft revamped the team for more significant differentiation over multiple but seemingly similar titles. Beland's new role in the company is not about working on a particular game, but on helping the entire company in its portfolio. Talks about a new Splinter Cell game strengthened when Ubisoft Spain posted a mysterious photo on its Twitter account. The post shows Sam Fisher in his usual look with the text that says it is necessary to understand the darkness in order to face it. Interestingly, the tweet did not appear on other channels of the company. So when we saw that, guys, I think that gave a lot of people hope that, hey, maybe he's coming back in a major way. It's hard to say because at this point, guys, where is Splinter Cell 7? I mean, we've been waiting a long time for this, and I think Ubisoft knows this. They know that the community wants it, and we've been voicing that to them for years now, and I think at some point or another, we're going to start seeing more information coming out, even if it hasn't actually started as far as the production of this game. I think we're going to hear word that, hey, yes, we are working on a Splinter Cell 7 at this point. But later, Ubisoft said the tweet was for the cameo appearance of Sam Fisher in the Ghost Recon Wildlands, which happened a while back. Fans of Splinter Cell could also remember the time Julian Garridy, one of the creative directors of Ubisoft, directly saying that he was working on a new Splinter Cell title. Eventually, Ubisoft came forward and claimed that the director's statement was just a joke. At this point, nothing is official yet about the new Splinter Cell game. So, look, guys, I think we can all agree that we want to see another Splinter Cell game. And we've been waiting for a long time, since 2013. Blacklist, guys, is definitely not, like, if Blacklist is the end of Sam Fisher's story, we do not want it to be, like, we don't want to remember that one being, like, the last iteration of Splinter Cell. We definitely want there to be like a high note here. And personally, I think that Splinter Cell is ripe for like a brand new trilogy, like kind of like a continuation of Sam Fisher, or him passing the torch on to another character that can kind of take the reins and move the story forward. That's just my personal opinion. Also, guys, Splinter Cell, even though they tried co-op, I think co-op would be great to continue. But I also think having multiplayer experiences, because I think part of the reason why we haven't seen a Splinter Cell 7 in so long is because Ubisoft's looking at ways that they can monetize, ways that they can try to make more money outside of just a $60 price tag for a Splinter Cell title as far as just a narrative or a single-player experience. They're looking for other ways to make money, and they might be having a hard time finding ways, but I don't see what would be so hard about making money from Splinter Cell if you're going to have, co-op modes where you go up against waves of, enemies, or you have, co-op missions separately. You have a multiplayer experience that brings people back. Because the biggest thing, guys, to me, is having ways that we can continue coming back to the Splinter Cell universe, which is something I talk about all the time on the YouTube channel. Having a full package. I don't think it's that hard to ask a AAA developer to make a game that has multiple different ways that we can connect with that franchise, because obviously the developers are looking at this from the standpoint, this is their crap, this is going to be like their baby for a period of time as they're making it. So why wouldn't you want to continue bringing those players back to the franchise? Obviously Ubisoft's going to want ways to bring players back. They don't want them to go over to other games. Now obviously if it's other Ubisoft games, they're okay with that, but why wouldn't they want people who are big Splinter Cell fans to come back to the franchise and continue playing, whether it's like just story missions, co-op missions, or a multiplayer experience? I think it's laid out there, guys, as to what the community wants, but Ubisoft is probably just trying to figure out ways that they can monetize and other ways that they can make money outside of just a single player experience. But what I think, guys, is where's the game at this point? I think it's actually in development at this point. That's just my opinion. I want to hear yours down in the comment section below. But I think Splinter Cell 7 is in development right now. And I think we'll probably see potentially maybe a logo this year, or like an announcement this year. Maybe see a trailer in 2021. And then we'll probably see the game in 2022. Or at some point in the foreseeable future, Let me know when you guys think we'll see the next Splinter Cell, or are we going to see the next Splinter Cell game, or is Ubisoft just toying with our emotions? Let me know what you guys think, and for more Splinter Cell 7 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV. And with that being said, everyone, I hope you guys did enjoy this episode of the 8 Below Show. And if you guys did, leave a thumbs up, subscribe if you're new, stay positive, and as always, I'll talk to you guys all in the next one. Peace.